Hey. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while, but I'm here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am so glad you're listening. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Today's topic is something that, we as Gen Zs probably, and probably other people, other, generations are going through right now. We are going through a postgraduate blues, or life after university or college blues. And today I just want to talk about that and just rant about that. It's something that I feel like, a lot of people are, just quite on the fence about, especially career wise. But like, it's just very crazy how the dream that we once had when we were younger, to say like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you're like, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, and stuff like that. And then now your time has come. You've done high school, graduated from high school, graduated from university and college. It's now life after that, and you're like, fuck, what is going on? So please enjoy this episode. This is just, a rant, like I said before, just raising awareness about what people are actually going through on the ground, and just a conversation, about like what is going on right now. What is the social economic status of the world right now? Like, what is happening? And I just want you to know that if you're going through this phase where there's so much uncertainty and your life seems to, not make sense right now, career wise, I just want you to understand that you're not alone. And I hope this will be comforting to you. And wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. Let's get into it. The day I graduated, I remember I just handed my degree to my mom because I knew that's like what mattered to her. And I just gave it to her. I was like, here you go. I don't know whether it's worth anything, but like, take it, like, just take it. And she took it and she hung it on the wall, and she's like, it's in the house. And every time a guest comes, it's just there. I don't even remember the last time I was like, oh my gosh, my degree. Like, I don't remember the last time I was like hyped about it. Only during grad season, like literally on the day of my graduation. The day of my graduation was like the last time I held my degree to my chest. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then after that, I was like, bloop, gone, like, bye, you know? I never looked at it like that or admired it or whatever, because um, it's crazy. The degrees seem pointless right now. I was watching a TikTok this other day of this girl who, South African actually, who had just obtained her LLB. Um, basically a You can look that up. You can look up an LLB, her LLB degree. So she obtained it, and she was crying on this TikTok, talking about how it was very, very heartbreaking how she dreamt of being a lawyer and practicing this career, but she had been unemployed for 2 years. And within those 2 years, the only job she managed to, like, the only job that can sustain her is a call center job. And it's like, she was just crying and just expressing how heartbreaking it is. And first of all, call center jobs are not the nicest. Like, they're very difficult. It's not like fun. It's not like a fun job, you know. So she was just saying like my dream and the reality are just not balancing, and this is very, upsetting to me, because it's the degree you would have prayed for, it's the degree that your parents want for you, it's the degree that people will be like, oh yeah, you're a lawyer, like, oh my gosh, and you get it, and then once you get it, life after that says bye, and it's not really what it was painted out to be. So, and I've noticed that it's actually a problem. Like, the job market right now is just ridiculous. Like, a lot of people are struggling to get jobs, and it is crazy that like your degree might not matter within like the next 5 years, because a robot or artificial intelligence can do it for them. I think, like, especially, let's say, in the manufacturing industry, like in the tech space, or even just things to do with like administration type of jobs, there are a lot of people who are who have been made redundant because of that. And it's ridiculous, because you would think like, oh, everything is going to be okay, but while the job market is falling apart, there's the housing crisis. A lot of people are becoming homeless because they are jobless, and because they are jobless, they can't afford to get a house or to pay rent. And guess what happens? It has this trickle down effect. They end up being homeless. So, and then they end up being homeless, and then now there's a drug pandemic going on. Like, people are now using drugs. People are delving into sex work, especially women. Like, I think I saw this video of this lady who was talking about how she was laid off at her previous job, and then she discovered that she could make a living off of OnlyFans, and because that was easier for her, or that's what made sense to her, she just was doing it full time. And yeah, she was just selling, basically selling her nudes for some money. And I don't know whether it's a saying or what, but people say that like the reason why you're poor, or the reason why like you aren't getting money or whatever, is because of your morals. And I really do agree to that. I agree to that, because a lot of people have just decided to say, hey, let me just delve into the black market. Then people are doing Dubai party, okay? They are gonna get a once-off payment of 15K off of one trip, $15,000 or $30,000, who cares, I don't know. They get that once-off payment, and they're like, damn, okay. And then it becomes a lifestyle. The sugar baby, the sugar mommy culture, the sugar mommies are taking care of the little boys that can get them jobs, and then the sugar daddies are paying school fees for the girls who cannot afford to take themselves to university or to school. So it's just like a very warped society, and it is, I want people to understand, or I want you to understand, that it's not a you problem. It's not really your fault, and it's not really like in your control, because I guess this is what society has come to. It's become a scam, basically. Like, the whole thing, the whole dream of like adulthood, and you know you go to school, you graduate, you get a job, you get married. Like, it is not, there's so many factors to consider. There's so many economic factors going on right now. The job market isn't even looking like that, like it's inviting or welcoming. LinkedIn, is just like rejection, rejection, rejection. For some people, it's like constant rejection after rejection. And then, like I know in Zimbabwe, it's all about who you know. There's a lot of nepotism that goes on, especially when you're trying to enter the job market. So it's very fucked up. Like it just feels like you're hitting a wall and you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm thinking about how there are a lot of like kingpins coming up, a lot of people dealing drugs. Like a lot of people are now getting into that black market industry because for them it makes so much sense. Like it makes sense for them to rack up a K a day, no degree, cool, and they're just moving pills, moving meth, moving ganja, moving anything, whatever makes them get by daily. So it's wild how we've come to this as a society, and it's truly heartbreaking, because it's concerning how, like, everything that was supposed to happen, you're told this. It's not like something that you have options to. You're told that for you to do this, you need to do this. There's always a stepping stone, there's always a next step. And it's crazy how you're stepping on the next step that's missing, and you're trying to, like, oh my gosh, to balance that out. And yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do about that. I don't know how we're gonna recover from this. But, like, is there light at the end of the tunnel? We're living in a consumerist and capitalist society. It is crazy how you go on social media, something is being sold, you go out to drink, you need to buy stuff, you need to pay for parking, you need to pay for your electricity, you need to pay for your Wi-Fi, you need to pay for your phone, you need to pay for your car, you need to get that fuel, you need that Uber. Like, we live in a society that requires money 24/7. A friend of mine was like, I am not stepping out of the house because every time I step out of the house, I get broke quickly. And it's true. We live in a world where Stanley Cups are advertised on TikToks, and if you watch TikTok every day, you'll find yourself wanting something that is not necessarily a need, but it's a luxury, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I should get it. There are a lot of people that are getting loans for the most ridiculous things that you can think of. I know the party culture, the club culture, in South Africa, we call it the groove culture. Um, some people would get loans to buy bottles, to buy Azul, to buy Moet, to buy Ace of Spades, just to impress the girlies. And then some people will get a loan, borrow money to buy an iPhone because everybody has an iPhone and they don't want to feel left out. So they're going to get the iPhone. But at what cost? They'd rather take a loan and look good as compared to, basically not spending money. And it's crazy, honestly. It creates this like ridiculous imposter syndrome because when you go on Instagram, you're seeing someone is in Bali or that big ass bouquet of roses, and you're like, oh my gosh. Or like the concealer on their face is just on point. You see Fenty Beauty and you're like, oh my gosh. And you're like, there's this constant FOMO going on, and if you're not careful, it will really like swallow you whole. And I think coupled with being unemployed, you end up like just staying at home, and guess what happens? You start having depressive episodes. You start having this comparing mindset. You're like comparing yourself to people, being like, oh my gosh, I don't have a job, and but like people are having fun, because on social media you're seeing someone with a Louis V bag, or the bed is filled with Louis V, and you're like, oh my gosh, like they're my age, how are they doing that? That time they got a sugar daddy doing all of that, but then you don't know that. You just beat yourself down. You don't even give yourself grace for that, because the society is just pushing a whole agenda to keep you broke, to keep you in your head, and to shut you out from the world. And there's this concept called bed rotting, and apparently it's been very popular with people who do not have jobs and who are just like staying at home doing nothing or whatever. Well, I wouldn't say doing nothing, but like when you know they've graduated and they can't get a job, or they're looking for a job and they can't get anything, and then they just end up bed rotting in at home, just staying in bed morning till evening, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Twitter, like scrolling through Instagram, and not really being productive. And it's not like it's their fault per se, but it's like mainly just an unhealthy coping mechanism to the situation. It's an unhealthy coping mechanism to the fact that you know you can't find something to do, um, which is job related, and it's hard because guess what happens? The family members, or your family, if you're staying with someone, or your family members start assuming like, oh, you're lazy, you're not like serious, in African context, black tax, your family will be out here complaining, saying, oh, when I was your age, I took care of my mama, I took care of my daddy, I took care of my sisters, I took care of my brothers. And it just like is so suffocating and very isolating. And it just causes this unhealthy self-sabotage, those rejecting letters, those like emails that we regret to inform you, unfortunately, like those emails, you start like scrolling through them and you start hyperfixating on that, and it just causes spiraling to happen. And that's what leads to what we're talking about. Like that leads to you looking for other means of making it work for you because of that anxiety and that stress of instability or uncertainty that you're dealing with. And it's sad because there isn't really support. Like, there's this assumption, like I said, to move to the next step, but this next step isn't there. And it's unfair, really, for people to expect you to have it together, especially when the environment doesn't allow you to. I promise you, the people that are winning in life, that have clocked this life thing so quickly, or that have tricked the system or escaped the matrix, are the generational wealth families, or the generational wealth people. If you don't know what generational wealth is, it refers to any kind of assets that families pass down to their children or grandchildren, whether in the form of cash, investment funds, stocks and bonds, properties, or even entire companies. Honey, this is the old money. The old money that is being passed on like from generation to generation. And I think like that saying, the rich get richer. I think this is what it means, or it's in relation to that, where they will gatekeep, their opportunities, or, you know, their companies, businesses, properties, assets, whatever it is. They will gatekeep that to because they got a nephew, they got a grandchild, they got a niece, they got a son, they got a daughter to think about. And I think as we're entering this adulthood phase of life, we all need to consider that, especially if you're already sneezing babies, and or you're sneezing babies right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have my kid. The future isn't looking like a job is going to sustain your child. Like the way the world was 10 years ago is not what it's going to be 10 years from now. So I think it's very important that, if especially if you're a parent or a young parent, to think along those lines of the inheritance or the future that you're actually setting for your child, because at the end of the day, the economy or the world doesn't give a fuck about us. It really does not. And at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you have left enough resources um, for your kids to, you know, not have it as hard, to not have it as, difficult as it is for some people right now. You may call it privilege, you may call it, oh my gosh, that's like privilege, oh, rich people, like you may hate on them, but those people were actually intentional about their kids' lives, and they planned accordingly. They prepared for their children. They were like, okay, honey, if you can go and do your college degree, but you've got stocks, you're a shareholder of our company. You're like, they have that freedom or liberty to choose, and they are not opening, oh my gosh, they're not operating from a disadvantageous point of view. They actually have an advantage to pick and choose, whereas when you're operating from a place of disadvantage and you're like, you don't have options, you find yourself doing things like I said, the Dubai party stuff. You now find yourself doing things that are very questionable, and you're like, yeah, is it I need to pay the bills, I got mouths to feed, and that time it's like, ma'am, it's not your fault, but at the same time, the lengths that you're going to get that money is crazy. Also, don't have kids if you can't afford them. Like, don't do that, because the world that we're living in right now is, it looks like the resources are running low, or people are gatekeeping resources and stuff. Like, people are not sharing information or whatever. Like, to each their own, may the best man win. It's giving that, right? So I don't understand people that would be like, yeah, I just want to have a baby. Like, when you're having these kids, or when you're thinking about having children, are you considering the fact that the world economically, like, if God forbid you were to pass away, let's say they were 15, God forbid you pass away when they're 15, and they now have to, will they be sustained? Will they be taken care of? Will they be seen through life? Or it's just going to, the legacy is just going to end with you? Do you understand what I'm saying? They're just going to have to live from hand to mouth, or be put in the system. Some kids end up in foster care, stuff like that. So it's very important to consider that and be intentional about it. And especially when you are considering procreating, building a family, and everything like that. Like, these are things that, we envy, like, oh, the rich kids, oh, they get to travel, oh my gosh, like, they're so lucky, da da da. But actually, they were smart about it. They were like, listen, we're gonna have three of our kids, and we have 5 farms, and each child is gonna have a farm. So, and we're gonna teach them how to, they're gonna teach them the family business. If shit hits the fan, they have something to hold on to, stuff like that. It's very important. And it really helps even for the child. They'll be operating from a secure point of view, and even the decisions that they make, they will not necessarily be sloppy. Obviously, they're those spoiled ones here and there, but in general, like family owned businesses, companies, whatever, that are just run by families, sorry, like a father will trust his son more with his $1 million company as compared to a stranger. So yeah, we may hate on them sometimes, but they be doing some smart shit right there. Seriously. In as much as it feels like it's doomsday and I'm just like delivering terrible things that are happening, I don't want um you to end this podcast thinking like, oh my gosh, like screw this, like I hate everything about myself, I hate everything about my life. You know, it's a mentality thing. You really have to you really have to fight for what you want and fight for yourself in every way possible. And especially for those people that have graduated and they're so angsty and finicky about the opportunities, the rejection letters, all of that stuff. I feel like you shouldn't necessarily hyperfixate on the hardship or the fact that things are not working out, and you know pouring all your energy in that, pouring all your energy on the applications, pouring all your energy on so your CV, your cover letter, like, because that will take up unnecessary mental space. You should be able to categorize your life. Yes, you don't have a job, cool, fine, but that's not what defines you. That's not what makes you a person. There's more to you than a paycheck. You have passion projects that you've always wanted to do. You have YouTube videos that you have always wanted to do. There's a lot of like, especially now that we live in such an internet oriented world, there's so much opportunity for you to explore more about yourself and find where you fit. Especially what I love about TikTok is you really see the different talents that people have. People go viral for crocheting, people go viral for editing videos, graphic designs. People go viral for fashion, designing clothes. Like, you have things that you've done or that you're actually good at outside of your degree. And I would advise that you just pursue that. You can sing, you play the piano, you play the violin. Practice that. Like, get better at that. Pursue that as well while you're waiting for that job offer to come. It will come, but it just takes time. It's always like in due season. Everything is always in due season, but it's not as easy as we thought it was. So that's why I'm saying, in the waiting period, instead of like beating yourself down and beating yourself up and being like, I'm so terrible and everything, you can do some volunteer work. You can tutor, you can get some part-time gigs. There are some people who just love cleaning and they post their cleaning videos and they go viral for that. And maybe you may not want the content creation side. Maybe you want to be a freelance makeup artist for fun and you don't want to post that on social media. Do it with your friends. Experiment with the makeup, experiment with with photography. If you have a camera, just like have fun with that. If you're good at sports, you can coach part-time and earn as well. It just view it as an opportunity to explore more things outside of your degree, more things outside of the school that you did, more things. Explore yourself, find the different facets you actually have, the different gifts you have. Um, it's not just the qualification that defines you, there's more to you than you think. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym, be a fitness bunny, like, do that, do what works for you. If you want to be like Meg the Stallion, rap a bit and then take yourself to school, and that's an option. You can do that. Like, um and as much as it's giving doomsday and everything, if you want to DJ as well, actually people are DJing, people are doing designs for like um for artists, stuff like that. As much as as it sounds like it's a doomsday thing, um to stop yourself from getting into that depressive state, I believe that you should explore, or you should use it as an opportunity to explore more about yourself, and not necessarily hyperfixate on, no, I need to get a job and that's the only way. Some people's breakthrough are through their different talents, and you might never know. You might actually not need the job at the end of the day because your freelance work is making way more money for you and it's able to sustain you. Or you might find the opportunity within the field that you are passionate about. So if you're volunteering, maybe you might be approached by nonprofit organizations, who knows? And then they are like, hey, we've seen you, do some charity runs, and we're interested in making you the face of such and such charity organization. Who knows? Don't limit yourself. Don't hold yourself back, and let what society has told us, like, this is the way, this is what we're supposed to do. Don't let that like stop you and phase you from living your life. The job is a 9 to 5. After that 9 to 5, you basically, at that 9 to 5, you are out here pretending. You're not even being yourself. You're yourself for the rest of the day. When you get home, that's who you really are. So just do that. And it is not easy, it is not fun, but it is not fun at first, obviously, because you be seeing things online. But if you see certain things are just getting detrimental, especially with the social media, the posts and people posting on Instagram and stuff like that, honey, take a detox. Delete all those apps for a bit so that you can get into your creative side. You can get into your painting. You can get into your rapping. You can get into whatever while you're waiting, because when you're idle, you end up being impatient, and then you don't want to end up like making decisions from a frustration point of view. You're like frustrated and you're like, you know what? Okay, like I'm gonna just look for a sugar daddy right now. If that's what you end up wanting to do and you feel like you like that, cool. I mean, that's up to you. That is your life at the end of the day. But you don't want to do it from a place of like unhappiness, um, and frustration, when there's more to you than that. So I hope that you feel a bit encouraged. I'm trying to end on a lighter note, even though the rant was just like I was just punching through the air right now. But I just hope that like you may think about that and you are intentional with everything that you do and you don't beat yourself down, um, because what it's what is meant for you is will be for you. Like, it will work out for you. If it's meant for you, it will be swift, it'll be quick, it'll be, but like, there's no need to beat yourself up, especially if the system is broken and it's not in your control. And I think that's very important to think about and to just like reflect on. And to those people, it's actually grad season coming up. Congratulations, you did it. Getting a degree is not even easy. It is very difficult. It is overwhelming. It is hard. Blood, sweat, and tears. But you did that. And celebrate yourself. Go all out on your graduation. Trust me, you're going to be thinking about your graduation day and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I wish I did it. Do everything that you've ever wanted to do. Go all out with your outfit, with the photo shoot, with the hair, with the makeup, with the party, with the graduation gift requests. Do the most. Do the most. Enjoy yourself, because life after that is not as easy. So you'd rather be present. So I am super happy that you listened in. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you learned a few things today. I will definitely be posting more, and I hope that you feel encouraged and comforted that you're not alone. And yeah, enjoy your week. Be safe, please. And catch ya. Bye.